Hey, it's Emily. Can we have a heart to heart real quick? I just wanted to let you know that I see you. And gosh, I know that you've tried every diet and you're just over dieting in general, right? And maybe you've been a longtime listener of the show and have implemented some of the habit hacks I've shared here, but you just haven't been able to be consistent due to, well, life and overwhelm. It's not your fault your habits haven't been sticking for you. You just need to do them differently. You need a habit strategy catered towards you, a busy working mom who knows the value of taking care of her health. But you just need a simple system to create habits that don't feel overwhelming and give you back the energy you need and deserve. So it's time to take action, and this is it. My years of being a fitness professional and training moms in particular, I saw a gap between knowing, that we need to work out, eat healthy, and talk nice to ourselves, and actually doing it. Our day-to-day life is just so unexpected due to the invisible load that we carry that it has just been impossible to make your healthy habits stick. That's where the Healthy Habits Accelerator pod course comes into play. I created my signature program with you in mind, ensuring you'll finish it. It's an audio course, and I know you'll be able to complete it on the go, in the car pickup line, or even taking a shower. In just 10 episodes that you can easily binge in just a day or two, you'll leave with a 21-day plan to build momentum in your habits and feel good in your favorite leggings too. And this is all without dieting. Now, this is higher level habit strategy where we dig deeper into my atomic habit hacking system for women to address diet culture mentality, emotional eating, time, and family challenges with food, chaos, disorganization, confidence, self-care, consistency, and sustainability in your workouts, and time and convenience habit hacks, and so much more. This is based off of research, client testimonials, and conversations with you all as far as your biggest healthy habit challenges that you have. We will cover it in the pod course. Plus, I just added 2 bonus trainings and 150 habit loops to help inspire you to create your own. And we even do bi-monthly group coaching calls when you need my eyes on your habit loops to help you continue taking action. Now, you'll leave with my habit hacking trifecta 21-day plan that is going to give you the confidence that you can make your habits stick and train for life and really just fall in love with the process of making your health an automatic habit that you don't even have to think about even more. And since I love my podcast listeners so much, and to celebrate you, I want to give you $20 off of the Healthy Habits Accelerator pod course. Just go to bit.ly/Healthy Habits pod course and just use the code podcast at checkout to get $20 off. It's linked in the show notes for you as well. I am so rooting for you, girlfriend. Okay, let's get into the show. Hey girl, do you wish you could make your healthy habits stick, but life keeps getting in the way? Are you tired of diet culture telling you to shrink yourself when you'd rather just find true food freedom, move your body for joy, and feel and look good in your favorite leggings? Then you're in the right place. Think of this as Atomic Habits for women. Hey, I'm Emily Nichols, habit and fitness coach, millennial mom, and Taco Tuesday enthusiast. I'm here to tell you there is an easier way than what we've been taught about health and our habits. How do I know? Because I've gone from former chronic dieter to habit hacker through the power of the system that I'm now going to teach you so you can finally stop dieting and just train for life via your habits. Remember, it's not your fault your healthy habits haven't stuck. We just have to do them differently. Are you ready to habit hack your health? Then let's do this. You're listening to episode 262 of Habit Hack Your Health. Hey girl, welcome back to the show. Okay, buckle up, Buttercup. We are talking about a subject matter that makes my palms sweat. It makes me uncomfortable, but we got to have these conversations, and it's all about budgeting, your money mindset, your finances, your spending habits, all of the above, right? Why? Well, because it's something that I've been personally working on this year more intentionally with my husband. I've shared this in my past 2 quarterly updates for the year on the show. And because this is actually something my one-on-one clients have asked me about as well, like how do we create habits around money? Now, I'm not the expert on money and budgeting. My guests today, though, the budget besties are, but I am an expert on habits. And your spending, your budgeting, your finances, all the above, whatever you want to call it, is essentially a habit, right? Spending, budgeting, sticking to that budget, and making it a habit takes some intentionality and some big time grace, right? And when I think of budgeting and spending habits, I honestly see a lot of similarities between weight loss or your healthy habit journey and your spending habits or your budgeting habits. So, for example, when we step on the scale, we feel a certain way about that number, right? Same thing when we sit down and see the data as far as what money we have, where all our money is going, or where we think it's all going if we're not actually looking at the facts. Or another example, we restrict ourselves from spending money on ourselves forever and ever, like we do with food sometimes, right? We restrict ourselves from certain foods that we actually really enjoy, right? And instead of finding that balance, that middle ground, we end up going to the extreme. We go all out with all the food, your face first in a pizza, a margarita, and like all the tacos in the world, or you go on a big shopping spree and add to cart like a crazy person. I'm not saying I've done either one of these, but I'm not saying I haven't either as well. But either way, either with our food and our health or our spending, when we go to this extreme, there's a lot of guilt and shame associated with it in either scenario, right? So whether it's your weight loss or healthy habit journey or your budgeting habits journey, we need a system, right? We need a system. Why? Because we are too overwhelmed to try to figure it out in both areas, right? Which is why we talk about this further in my private podcast series, the Atomic Habits for Women private podcast. I break down why women have to do habits differently. So go listen. It's at bit.ly/Atomic Habits for Women. It's linked in the freebie link in the show notes. Go listen because you're going to feel not so alone and not so much like, why are my habits not sticking? It's just because we got to do them differently in all areas of our life, right? So girl, we really just need to take a step back and look at the facts, not just the feelings. P.S. This is the first step in my habit hacking system I teach inside of my program. We have to look at the facts, not just the feelings we have associated with either one, and find a customized system to help us release that overwhelm and make it easy to take tiny steps to a massive transformation, whether it's your health or your finances. So I do this with my clients, like I already alluded to, in my signature program, the Healthy Habits Accelerator. In just 21 days, you have a plan customized for your health based off of some very, very intentional habit hacks that I give you. And it's going to give you some major momentum without dieting, right? But we're also going to do that through a system with our friends, the Budget Besties today. They have something that is, I promise, going to make talking about and doing your budget every month actually a little fun, and they're going to break it down for us today. So the Budget Besties, let's talk about Shayna and Vanessa. They are energizing keynote speakers, master financial coaches, and co-hosts of the top 1.5% globally ranked podcast, Financial Coaching for Women. So as some of the only people who truly love talking about budgets, truth, Shayna and Vanessa know how to make personal finance fun, judgment-free, and refreshingly simple. Bringing over a decade of coaching experience to the table and training by Dave Ramsey, Shayna and Vanessa are the architects behind the smart money system that has guided thousands of clients towards financial clarity, freedom, and a peace of mind. Their secret sauce is a blend of empathy, practicality, and a sprinkle of humor, and it creates an experience that's encouraging for your spirit as it is for your bank account. I love them so much. So as moms, wives, besties, and business partners, they bring a unique blend of real life stories, practical advice, and humor to every conversation. Now,
I personally listen to their podcast and I personally have implemented their strategies because they are simple and they were made for women like you and me. And I like listening to their show because they're funny and it's just so simple. It's just like, oh my gosh, this is blowing my mind. Why haven't I thought of it like this before? And it's because they get us, girls. They get us. So, and I know talking about money can be uncomfortable at times. It's not my favorite subject matter, but you'll find that this conversation with Shayna and Vanessa is fun and jam-packed with simple action steps you can take today to make budgeting a simple habit in your life. So get your pen and paper handy, ready to take some notes or voice memo yourself in your notes section on your phone. And as always, make sure you stay to the end to hear my 3 biggest takeaways. So let's go. Let's talk about budgeting habits with our friends Shayna and Vanessa from the Budget Besties. Let's go.
All right, gang, welcome back to Habit Hack Your Health. I am so excited to introduce you to the Budget Besties, Shayna and Vanessa. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
We're excited to be here.
I'm so excited to chat with you. Like, I've been listening to your show and I loved it so much. Like, I sent you an email to be like, girls, like, it's clicking for me. Finally. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I start every episode with asking my guests, what is your favorite habit hack? And Shayna and Vanessa, you can both answer personally for yourself. It can be anything budget-wise or home or self-care or kids. What is your favorite habit hack going on in your life right now that's saving your life?
Well, my pastor had a quick thing with if your life gets busy, which I don't know all of your listeners know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, I'm busy. It never happens. But so when you're busy, it's called 5, 5, and 5. And so it's 5 minutes of worship, 5 minutes of prayer, and 5 minutes of reading the Bible. And it's a way to like, maybe you're not going to get to go as deep. Maybe you're not going to get to do what what the thing that you think you should do. And it should be this big grand gesture, but it's a way to get it really like, get it in. You have 15 minutes, girl, you can do it. And then I like things that are broken up. I like exact plans. And so that's my favorite right now, because as we all know, life with kids it's just fine. It's fine. And it's not busy at all.
No. And they say the older they get, the easier, but I'm still waiting for my Uber mom shirt.
That's incorrect.
I just had this conversation with a client yesterday. I'm like, girl, it's just been crazy. My new car is a vehicle to still fit all 7 of them and their friends and everybody, because that's what we're doing. We're just busy bringing them places. So I love that hack.
Yeah.
Mine is going to be money, obviously, just because I'm a financial person and that's where my brain goes. No, for me, it is my automated system with my money. My husband gets paid on Wednesday, Thursday. I don't do anything. I am paid. My bank accounts are filled. My grocery account is funded. Like, it's all done. That is my favorite thing that I have going on in my life that has been part of it for a while. And I just would never change it for the world.
Yeah. A lot of that comes down to like automation and keeping things simple and breaking it down, which is what we need, because we do have all these tabs open in our heads. And, I was just talking with a girlfriend the other day. I was like, we should start a business called Mom Uber, where it's just moms. And we are like, we will pick up other people's kids, and it's safe. Because I know they were saying there's like a kid Uber or something now where you can get an Uber for your kids. And I'm like, nah, I'd rather just like it all be a bunch of moms or like retired teachers where they can all pick up their kids and they could help them with their homework too.
I also did that part. I'm here for that, because you're willing to do it, but you don't always know that you're going to the same places at the same time. And maybe, when I go to gymnastics, those moms, some of them stay there. So I don't. I'm out like, okay, it's time to get my grocery shopping done. It's time to get some work done or whatever. And I'm like, I don't meet them. But if we all could just work together, because we're all going to the same places and we're all coming back home.
And the plans usually happen like 15 minutes before, right? It's like, oh, hey, I forgot I'm doing this. Can you pick up my kid? I know her and I do that a lot with my parents. And it's just to have that community to know that you can contact. That would be great. You're on something, girl.
Yeah, go start that tomorrow.
Mom Uber LLC. Okay, let's do it. Copyrighted. Let's go. I'm sure all
trademark.
The other
right. No big deal.
No problem. No problem. Well, ladies, can you briefly just share a little bit about your story? Like, what has led you to really what you both do today, who you are, why you decided to become the official Budget Besties?
Well, it is a bit of a long story. So we met when we were when our boys were 4 and they're
Mhm.
both 15 now. So if that can tell you that they've gotten older and we've gotten younger, don't worry about that part. But we met when they were in VPK and we were at the YMCA working out together. And Vanessa, you know, and I were in a small group personal training together, and I said, I need a new church. She said, I just started one.
Nope.
Started going to no. I just started going.
Nobody wants Vanessa to start a church.
Come with me. And I was like, okay. So then we went to this church, and 2 weeks later we were leading a community group at that church. So that's just the kind of, we became instant friends and instant, like, what are we going to do with our hands together
forever?
And then that led to us just raising our kids together and doing all the things together, the VBSs, the beach dates, the free movies, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then
we're gonna. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure we were going. So, you know, long story short, Shana gave me a book. You guys may have heard of it, Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And I guess she gave it to her husband. He said,
well, I read it. I was like, this is cool. And then I gave it to him, and he read it, and he said, well, we already do that. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe, but okay. So I just gave it to Vanessa. I was like, well, here, Vanessa, we already do this apparently. I don't need any more information.
And I don't usually love to read books, but I took this book. I believe I read it in about a week, loved it so much, and changed my life. I went to Europe with my kids for 3 months. My grandmother lives in Portugal. So she said, listen, before they start school, come. And I thought, can I do that? So I asked my husband, I said, can I go? And he said, go. So I quit my job. I took my kids and packed some bags, and we lived out of a suitcase for 3 months. It was amazing. But it was there that we really, and like Shana likes to say, I had to go and leave to figure out what I really wanted when I came back. And so, you know, we really decided what was important to us. What were our goals? What did we want as a family? And it was, you know, I was tired of living like the Joneses. I was tired of the big house. I was tired of being mortgage poor, house poor, whatever. And so we came back and sold everything and bought a smaller house, was mortgage free in 2018. I was 31. And, you know, really at that point was asking God for what I was supposed to be doing with my life. And that's when Shana texted me and she said, because she had moved away, she's military. And she said, I'm moving back home. I want you to get your financial coaching certification, and we're going to do this thing together, which she had brought up in the past. And I thought, I don't even know what a financial coach does. What do they do? You know? And so she told me to do that. It was literally the week that I had asked God for direction. And so in 2019, we kind of came together and started our business.
I love that so much. Sometimes you just got to listen to those little nudges and you keep hearing it over and over again. I love that so much. And I love that you all love talking about budgeting so much, because most of us do not.
We'll do it for you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And you guys make it fun. So let's get into this a little bit. So when I think of budgets, spending, I feel like it really all comes down to habits that we have, whether that be like habits around grocery trips, habits around like emotional spending or shopping, or just adding to cart automatically on Amazon because it's just easy. But sometimes I feel like these habits can be unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wanting to get your take on, based on your experience and clients that you've worked with in your community, what are some of the most common unhealthy spending habits that you see? And we want to give this with a sense of grace to everybody. I want everyone to feel seen, that like, oh, I'm not alone and that I do this. And then we'll think about some solutions for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would like to say, well, before we hit that, I want to say, you know, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Okay. And also it comes from your past. Like it literally, we see it. It stems from how you were raised with money, how you were spoke to about money, how you felt about money, what was going on in your house, you know, your parents, it stems from all that. So we like to tell you what you're doing now. It's because of some past decisions, some past thoughts, some past relationships with money. And so what we're trying to do is basically kind of unlearn that now as an adult.
Well, and so you couple the unlearning of some of the batter. Wow. I do have an English degree. Don't worry about that. Some of those habits, but then also nobody taught you. So that's the thing that we've realized. Money and our personal finances are so much more complicated now than they ever were. I always think about grandma with her coffee can, and then the rest of the money was stuffed between mattresses. That was people's long-term financial plan, and it was great. And then that's all it was, right? Or I would trade you a chicken and you give me some eggs, or that's probably not the right way it worked, but you know what I mean? And so now we've got so many different transactions going on in our thing. You've got all of these different subscriptions. You know, we were all so cool. We're like, I'm going to pull the plug on cable to save money. And now I have 13 different media subscriptions. You know, I have, my kids are way more involved with different things now. So your personal finances are so much more complicated now than they ever were. You probably have 2 to 3 to 10 times as many credit or debts than 2 generations ago, so it's just very complicated, and then it's more complicated. Nobody ever taught you.
Right.
So really we just like to take the shame out of it. There's a reason that you don't have great habits. You didn't, you maybe had some bad things you picked up, before, and you just weren't taught. So let's just put that out on the table before. Let's serve that up for a dish real quick. And then really the number one thing that people do, because of how complicated it is, because of how taboo it is, because of it feels like maybe if I bring it up with my spouse, we're going to start arguing, we ignore it.
Well, yeah. And that because, no one taught you how to do it. And then you're coming together with your spouse if you have one. And it's like, by the way, you have to now manage your money as an adult. Oh, and somebody else's. So it's really hard. And they have a completely different way that they've thought about money and how they've been handling money. So what they do is, instead of talking about it, like Shana said, instead of coming together, because it's usually starts like the little tiffs in the household, is everyone just ignores it. And then they swipe their card without really having a plan as to why they're doing it.
Yeah. And then, of course, as you alluded to, some of the more, and I wouldn't necessarily say they're unhealthy. It's you're more unaware of the opportunity costs, what you could be doing with your money, but instead, because you're ignoring it, you're not really thinking, you're not excited about the vision of the future, then you're doing Amazon, you're doing Afterpay. Like Afterpay and Affirm and Sezzle and PayPal, they are our worst enemy.
They gotta go.
You can play the sound effect for throwing up. That's how we react when we hear about them. But really, I mean, one of the worst habits people do have is they buy stuff that they can't afford. So if you have to do Afterpay, Affirm, I don't even know what the other ones are called, that means you can't afford it because you don't have the money. If you need to buy a couch over the next 10 months, that meant you couldn't afford it. So you really have to get in that mindset. Like, I can't afford this. That's why they're offering me this. And they prey on you, right? They prey on all of that stuff. So they know what they're doing.
And they just make it so easy.
Yeah.
Right now that Afterpay option or that installment plan option is under basically everything that you go to buy online now. Where before it was kind of like a beta, right? They were just kind of here and there. And now it's literally everywhere, even on Amazon. And so it's really hard to get away from that. But, and like Shana said, it's not necessarily unhealthy habits. It's just you're just doing things without knowing what's going on, without knowing what's in your account, without knowing if you can afford it. You have no idea what your money, how much money you have coming in versus what's going out, right? So what we're trying to do is just kind of acknowledge it, see it as a whole, understand what's going on, and then we're trying to learn from that.
Yeah. So how do we stop the madness? Because you're so right. Like we ignore it. And I know, like when I am teaching someone in regards to like healthy habits in regards to their health, we usually start with, what are the facts? We're not going to start with just the feelings like, oh, this is how I feel about my body, or this is how I feel about working out. We're like, what are the facts as far as like, what do you need to be doing right now? Like, where are you at in your life? What is going on in your life? Where are you at with your body? I think the same can apply for our finances. We need to know the facts, like where is all of our money going? So what would we do to dig into that and do it with a big, great dose of grace with that as well?
Well,
the first thing that we would say to do is do a 90-day review.
Yeah.
So that is basically going and printing out, if you're using a credit card, you want to print out your last 90 days of credit card statements, all of them that you're using, and then your bank statements for 90 days and see take an assessment, take an audit. Where is your money going? How have you been spending it for the last 90 days? And we like to say also get some highlighters out so you can categorize it, right? So yellow highlighter is for food and pink is for gas or whatever, and orange is for eating out, whatever you want to do. And then just start highlighting and just figuring out where it all is going. So that way you have the raw data and the information that you need to make a solid plan for the future.
Yeah. And that's the facts. So again, like you said, you might be, when you look, people have a lot of shame when it comes to stepping on the scale or whatever. It's just math. It's just the math. And you do not have to attach an emotional or like a personal worth to any of it. It's just what the facts are. And we love to use those numbers you then can create a budget based on that. So yeah, what was I doing? Many times clients will say, well, I wanted to throw up when I looked at that. I hated that. That wasn't fun. But we can quickly move on. Okay, that's fine. That's what I was doing. Now, based on this information, what do I want to be doing, right? So maybe I was spending thousands of dollars eating out. Maybe I'm going to break that down to $500 a month or whatever your budget calls for. And that's okay. So then we just have that data, like you said, to move forward. And one of the other things that's really similar with health and fitness is, people really complicate it. They want to make it complicated, almost as a self-sabotage, almost as an excuse to not do it. Your budget is very simple. So you take that number, you create a budget. And we say your budget is very simple and it follows the behavior that you do with your money. You have your income. That's how you make money, right? And then we have the category of debts. You have to pay those. We like to list those first just because they can go away and you just get those those figured out. Then you have your bills. Your bills. There's only 5 categories, so we're not going to get too complicated. Bills are anything that's invoiced to you monthly, right? Anything that is monthly, quarterly that you have to pay that you know, is for service, you know, whatever, for your mortgage, whatever, stuff like that. And then you have spending. And this is where,
this is where you live in your budget.
Yeah. This is where you have a lot of discretion. Let's put it that way. So a lot of times we're just swiping, and we are not planning our spending. And what we want you to do is know that you have permission to spend money and you can spend money and you can have personal money and you can go out to eat. That's not the point, but let's have a plan for that. Let's have a goal. And then the last category is savings. And that's it. You just want to see what am I paying for bills and debt? What do I want to spend? And what do I want to be saving for? And then we hope that really simplifies it. Because, you know, out in the fitness world, there's all of these diets. There's all of these, you know, fasting, all these things that you can do. And, you know, maybe the simple answer is like, can you eat real food? Like, you know, or whatever. Like, what is the simple? So we really try to make it as simple as possible.
I appreciate that so much because I teach a philosophy called Atomic Habits for Women because we as women have so many tabs open in our head and we need to keep everything as simple as possible. And when it comes to like mindset and like managing our money and our budget and not feeling like we're restricting ourselves, we have to, like you said, first know where the facts are, but then break it down so super duper simple so you're not feeling overcomplicated and you keep ignoring and pushing it away each month and not able to reach like your financial goals or having to say no to things that you'd really want to be able to do if you were just managing your budget your money a little bit differently. And I love that so much. And I think that like for me, as I've been listening to your show, I actually like printed out a calendar because you mentioned, you know, like couples sometimes have different ways of viewing money. My husband is very like, homeboy pulls out his Excel spreadsheet. He pulls up our transactions for the month. And I'm like, goodbye. I want to leave.
Yeah. Done.
Check out.
Goodbye. Just tell me like how much we spent. And he has it all categorized. Great. Beautiful. For me, I like printed off a calendar for each month and I put 3 categories with a different color highlighter for essentials, spending, and then I forget my other category. And I highlight the day, like what I spent each day, and I write out what it is. So he can see throughout the month, okay, because I think a lot of times we as women, we do a lot of the spending throughout the month because we're managing groceries, we're paying for this or that for the kids. And for me, it gives me a visual. I try, no spend day. That's my 3rd category. That's the most perfect one. No spend day. So I do essentials, bills, and no essentials, spend day, and no spend days. So I try to have no spend days, as many as possible within a day. That way I'm not spending so much. But having that visual for me works for me. And then at the end of the month, you know, I know on your show, you suggest doing like a budget date with your spouse to go over everything. It makes it so much more simple because he's looking throughout the month. I have that accountability. And then our date at the end of the month is so much more simple based off another strategy that you mentioned and just keeping it simple as far as your buckets. Like all of our bills are automated. We have an account just for that. And then we have our spend essentials account where money comes out of there. And it's made it so much more simple and a habit that I've had to reinforce for myself. So I had to kind of think of what works for me and my brain. I'm like, I need pretty visuals. And for him, he needs his Excel spreadsheet. And at the end of the month, we come together and I don't want to pull my hair out anymore.
Yeah.
Well, we love that we have both. We have a budget template that we use that it's pretty and it's Excel, or, you know, it's got the spreadsheet part of it too. But I love what you talked about as far as, you know, you separating the accounts is working for you guys, because that is, you know, Shada alluded to the different parts of the budget that we have. And when you go from the bills and debt section to the spending section of the budget, you now have a different an account that you are spending money out of. And that is one of the things that we recommend. And it is so easy to do. The reason for that, the reason why you talked about that, and the reason why it's working is because when you have all your money coming out of one account, Okay. So you're having one account. It's normal. We did a podcast on this and I said, listen, we're not 16 anymore, y'all. You can have more than one checking account. So because some people don't realize you can have multiple accounts at the bank. So right now you probably have one checking account, one savings. That's fine. We'll start there. But within that one account, you have so many transactions that are coming in and out and in and out, and you have no idea what's going on. When you go to the bank, or not when the bank, when you go to the grocery store to go buy groceries, you don't know what bills have come are coming out, which ones have already come out. Do you have any checks out there? Do you have anything pending? Right? There's all these questions that you have no idea what's actually happening with your money. So with one account, it's really complicated. But if you open a separate spending account, and we actually suggest you have a couple of those, but we can start with one, right? One spending account that you get your gas, your groceries, and like you called it your essentials, right? All of the essentials, all the things that you actually spend money on during the month. If you can have an account with that's just paying all your bills, and then you have an account where you are actually swiping and spending or taking money out of, that is going to simplify your life so much. And it's going to allow you to see things clearly.
Yeah, and I love what you talked about coming to the budget meeting together, and I want to back it up when you were talking about women are typically doing the spending, and that is such a great point. Women tend to think that they are overspending, that they're bad with money, whatever. That's just the thing, the stories that they tell them in their head. And what the truth is you got a lot on your shoulders to manage with money, and you don't have a system. That's all it is. And so you don't have a system for how and when do I say yes or no to the kids? How and when do I get my groceries, and how much do I spend? Gas, and what about if I ever deign to want something for myself? Is that allowed? So like all of those. And then, they want to go out to eat. Oh, there's a field trip. Like there's so much happening to you. And that is very hard and complicated. And then what you alluded to is you're dealing with that all on your shoulders. And he's over here like, why do you need more money? I gave you $200 for groceries. That's obviously
why
enough.
are we always broke?
Yeah. And you're like, because that wasn't enough. But that lack of communication and like not showing, because really it's not like Vanessa, I was just listening to our podcast this morning, and the heart, everybody's heart's in the right place. Your husband, the wife, both of you want the best for yourself financially. Nobody actually thinks you're out to get me. It's just we just don't know. And if I do know, if you communicate and tell me this is what I'm seeing, what do you think? Should we be spending less or more here or whatever?
Yeah.
It's gonna open up this great conversation where you guys can actually start to come together, understand the whole full picture. Like you said, the women may be more responsible for the spending, and he may be doing the Excel on the bills, and that's all he's focused on. But when we get the full picture, then we can actually make progress together.
I had a call with a client yesterday, and they live in California, and I don't know how to say this. It's changed the term, but the withholding, or the tax withholding, he has them hold as much as possible. So when they do their taxes, they get like $25,000 back in taxes every year. And it's really hard for her to do her budget throughout the year because everything is really tight. But they use that money to do a lot of stuff. And, he's like, I don't want to change it because I'm afraid we're just going to spend it throughout the year. But I also told him, I said, you have to understand how stressful this is for her. And she's like almost literally in tears in the call, because she's, like Shana said, she's the one handling the money. She's the one paying for all the sports. She's the one doing the grocery shopping. He's a firefighter. So he's gone, 2, 3, sometimes 4 days if he's doing overnights. And taking extra shifts. So he doesn't see it. It's really, really hard for her to make it all work, but they haven't really communicated that. So we did that on the call together yesterday.
You're like a therapist too.
Yeah.
Oh yes. We like to say we're unofficial marriage counselors as well.
Oh, for sure.
It's so much more than just money.
Yeah. Well, and that seemed, I think sometimes working with someone like a coach, you can kind of have a bird's eye view and be like, well, why don't we just redistribute it this way? And that way it doesn't feel as overwhelming for the wife, or, when you have just your spend account, more than likely, once it's gone, it's gone. Maybe you won't spend as much because it's not like your bills, all the essentials. It's like you said, all coming out of one account. Yeah. And it makes it so much more simple and allows more open communication too. That way, at the end of the month, you don't have like your dukes up. You're not like on the defense with your spouse. And maybe you're, as a wife, you're the saver and he's the spender. That way you guys have a communication plan, and that can be a really great habit. Now, as far as someone listening today, what would be the first step? I know we talked about like getting the facts, setting up our different accounts based on more than one, more than just our checking and spending or checking and savings, setting up maybe like a monthly budget date with our spouse. But what would be the biggest tip you give them today and the one tiny habit they can start doing every day to help them manage their budget without it feeling hard?
Yeah, I mean, I think separating the accounts. So I love how you keep saying about all the tabs open in your head. That is the point of separating the accounts because you don't have to keep the tabs open. So when you're at the grocery store, you're not thinking, okay, did the mortgage go through? And what about the kids' tuition or whatever? Like you're not thinking that. You're like, oh, here's my grocery account. Look how much money I have. Done.
Yeah, there's no tracking. Like that's what we love to tell people. Like when you can separate your accounts, you no longer have to track to figure out how much you spend in groceries, how much you spend here and there, because the accounts are doing that for you. And we like to say it's bank account balancing. You're already bank account balancing in your head, trying to do all the math, but this allows you to visually do it on purpose.
Yeah. So you pull up your phone, and if Nessa and I pulled up our phone right now, we would have an account for our bills, right? And those are all happening automatically. Like you said with your husband, don't have to worry about that. But only the bill money is in the bills account. All the other money is distributed to different spending accounts and different savings accounts. So we can see our travel budget grow. We can see the kids' summer camp budget grow. Like all of that's happening. And with that, we sort of alluded to it earlier. Having personal spending is super important. It's super important. And this is one of the things that we have to put into every budget because especially for moms. So we've noticed, and women, you're making sure everybody else has what they want. And then those moments that you mentioned about unhealthy spending, that's when that happens because you're like, I never get anything. I never have any money, whatever. I'm just going to put it all on credit card and I'm going to feel good for the moment. So we want to flip that. We want to say, you have money, girl. You have money every paycheck. Money is coming into your personal spending and you can, obviously it's on a budget. It's not a million gazillion dollars, but you can feel free to spend. You have permission, freedom to spend the way that you want.
And we tell our clients that it's non-negotiable. Like we want this category of personal spending to be a non-negotiable for you. So that way, like Shayna said, you have the money. And listen, don't go spend it on your kids. Okay. Don't give them
their own category.
Don't give them your pocket money. Make them a category. I have a kids, bucket and put some money in there for them. So that way, when they need things last minute for school or friends or whatever, you have that, but keep yours for the things that you want. And you can either spend it in the moment, you can build it up and save over 2 months if there's something big that you want or whatever, but it's yours to do what you want.
Yeah, I'm so glad you all mentioned that because that does break it down so much more simple and let you know, like, hey, I don't have to sit there and like track and go through every line transaction on my checking and this savings. It does it for you, which everyone I probably just went, yes, thank you. And when you're talking about like, personal spending is a non-negotiable within like whatever your budget is, it automatically reminded me of how some folks restrict food sometimes or think of food as certain foods bad and you restrict for so long and then you just go crazy and then you just eat all the things. It's the same thing with spending and there's a healthy amount of ways to do that for both areas as well. Now, the final tip I want to talk about, and I could talk to you guys forever, when this is airing, it's back to school time. So we go through different seasons of our life and we're like, my budget is working. I'm feeling so good. Shannon and Vanessa told me to do all these different accounts. I don't have to do anything. And oh my gosh, my kids need school shoes. And as they get older, their shoes are so expensive and their feet are bigger and we need school supplies. And oh, I forgot I had to get this. And then your whole budget, it just falls apart. How can we habit hack this ahead of time to prepare for when a new season of life will ultimately come?
Yeah. So we understand that in the moment right now, there are some things that you may not be able to do because of this is happening, right? So we kind of call it like, this is like a little mini storm mode situation that we have going on. Because there is sometimes a lot that you have to do to buy, to get all the kids back to school prepared properly. But so what we're talking about is maybe you were putting an extra $500 on debt normally in July. Well, maybe you can't do that in August because you have back to school situation. Maybe you were trying to save an extra $200 for, I don't know, something that you had coming up in October, something you want to buy. Well, maybe you might have to pause that and maybe you have to pick that back in September. So right now, use the money that you need to get the kids off and ready to school. But we have a hack for next year for you on how that would help. But yeah, that's what I would say.
So the number one hack that you need to do to stop having these quote unquote unexpected expenses attack your budget, ruin your budget, is savings buckets.
Yep.
So they're all able to be categorized. Okay. Everything that seems unexpected can be categorized. And so what we want you to do right now is, yes, we know it's frustrating. It's August. It's already happening, but track everything that comes, right? Track everything. I had to buy shoes. I had to buy all the school supplies, which are so expensive. Oh, then they all of a sudden I have school pictures, or there's a back to school dance, or whatever. Write it all down. And what we're going to do is we're going to lump that in. We're going to start tracking what these kids cost, because it's not that different every year. Like, it usually kind of is similar.
It's a cycle.
And so we have kids, what are their sports costs? We're putting that down. And then we add it up throughout a year, theoretically, right? Maybe, and we see, I'm actually spending $5,000 a year on all of these different things for the kids. Then we divide that by 12, and we start setting that aside into a savings bucket. And then whenever those moments come, then I know I have the money. And the savings bucket really saves you. It's not there to completely 100% do everything because you got the math completely right. It's there to say, oh, I needed $500 this month. I needed 550. I had 500 because I guesstimated that's about it. So now my monthly budget is only bothered by $50, right? Instead of 550. And so the savings buckets, you work for every category: for your home, for vehicle, for traveling, for Christmas, for medical. You start just setting aside a little bit into these savings buckets. That way, when these moments and these quote unquote unexpected expenses like Father's Day or, Christmas, like Vanessa just said, they're the same every year. So we can start to expect them, and then your budget doesn't get derailed.
Yeah. We have a lot of people that are like, what about all the unexpected things that happen throughout the month? We're like, okay, talk to us. What are we talking about? What's some unexpected expenses, right? And for us, they're not, because we have brainwashed, whatever fun word you want to use, our clients to say, we are starting to recognize this. We're starting to make a plan and put this into place. And so, like Shana said, we are saving this money in a savings bucket in a certain category, whether it's home, vehicle, like she said. And then when I need the money, it is there. And if you don't get it right, that's fine. This isn't about getting every single penny down to the wire, right? Yeah. It is about having that extra buffer. So you're not having to pull, like Shana said, $500 out of 1 month's budget to make this work. Now you only have to pull 50 because you've already saved the 500 over the last 3 or 4 months. So it's just really nice to be able to see that as a whole and see it working in your favor. I have a client right now. She's saving about $2,000 a month in all her savings buckets. Like when she breaks it all down. And she said, you have no idea what this is doing for my mental health. Yeah, she said, because I know that when I need a babysitter in the summer for my daughter, because, she works throughout the summer, she's like, I don't have to stress about that now. Or it's not going on a credit card. I have it saved because we've been saving for it since I think it's like March or January. So it's just really nice.
Yeah. And so we have we have clients, they'll have to go get their oil changed and they don't have to stress about it. They have to buy the tickets for travel. They don't have to stress about it because they've budgeted for it. And what you said earlier in the beginning of the podcast about being able to say yes, that's really what this is about. You want to be able to say yes when you want to say yes. And having a plan and a vision, right, for that allows you to create this, or having a plan and vision about what you want to say yes allows you to create the budget. The savings buckets allow you to say yes when you want to say yes. And then you can always say no. That is a complete sentence as well. But it really is about that peace of mind and closing some of those tabs in your brain, like you said.
Yeah. It all comes down to having a system, right? It all comes down to having a system. And like you said, when it comes to our money, we kind of already know, like in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, I know there's like more like spending times of the year. Like we always go to Florida in October with our family for fall break. And then the holidays come and we're always like, oh, just fall until the end of the year. We are spending extra money. It's like, well, if we saved a little bit at a time, over time, it adds up big time. So you're not feeling so stressed. And like you said, more peace of mind and really aiding in your mental health too. That's just what we teach here too. It's not about big, huge, crazy things, not spending and trying to save as much as possible and trying to restrict as much as possible. It's about living your life, feeling good about what you're doing, but being intentional with what you are given and really just being able to live your life and feel really good about your budget and not keep ignoring it as well.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah. When we have our clients put aside the money to save for these accounts, it's like, even if you start with $10, sometimes your budget can't allow you to save hundreds and hundreds or thousands of dollars a month in these savings buckets. That's fine. Start with $5, start with $10, start with 20, start being the type of person that is saving money. And and we like to say, you're going to be your own bank. Like that's what you're going to do. You're going to watch these accounts build and you will be your own bank. You will be able to fund your own future because of your diligence of saving this money ahead of time.
Yeah. We talk about something called a habit identity. So where like, who do you want to be and how will your habits support who you want to be? And this ties in perfectly with this. Like, I want to be a person who says yes to my kids. I want to be a person who, gives a good money mindset to my kids, someone that's not stressed about money. And then thinking about the habits that you all just shared today can definitely support that type of habit identity. So Shayna and Vanessa, where can everyone connect with you and find out more about you?
They can find us at our podcast, Financial Coaching for Women.
Yeah. We have 3 episodes a week and we talk about all of this stuff. We try to be as, take the shame out of budgeting, be as much fun and tactical as we can. We want to give you actual things that you can do with your hands. That's kind of our goal. And then of course we have a website, budgetbesties.com, and you can come check out all the things we have to offer there if you want.
Well, you are definitely fun and tactical, which I really appreciate. Like I said, I've been personally implementing the tips and tricks that you've been sharing on your show. So just for me, thank you so much for what you both are doing. It's really important work that you're doing and you're probably saving marriages.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we love what we do. We love that we get to do it. Like people, we have a lot of clients that are nurses or whatever, right? We're like, thank God that God made you the kind of person that wants to look at blood, because that's not for me. Okay. Yeah. But then for us, God made us that we want to talk about money.
That is your gift. That is your gift. So, yeah. You can tell like you both are very passionate about it and you have servant hearts about it, which I think makes it really simple for someone like me who doesn't like talking about budgeting to be like, okay, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
It's not so bad.
We have a goal. We try to laugh and have fun in our sessions. Like we try not to get off a call with a client unless they're laughing, right? It's just so fun. I graduated, I think 3 or 4 clients this week, and it's a double-edged sword because they literally become like family for us. And we just have so much fun and watching their journey and everything. And that's one thing they say is like, thank you for taking the shame out of it. Thank you for laying this all out and making it clear and easy to understand. And that's what we hope to do on the podcast. So thank you for having us on.
Super. Well, we'll make sure to link everything in the show notes. As you're listening to Financial Coaching for Women, make sure to leave them a 5-star review and a written review as well. If you were like, these girls are changing my lives, I know they would really appreciate it. So ladies, thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shayna and Vanessa, for making money not so scary to talk about and providing us with some simple habit hacks today around budgeting. Now, friend, whatever story you have told yourself about money or even your health, I hope you can rewrite that, and I hope you feel inspired to take action today after listening to our conversation with Shayna and Vanessa. Now, as promised at the end of every episode with our guests, I provide my 3 biggest takeaways, the cliff notes, if you will, of this conversation. So let's get into it. Number 1, we have to look at the facts versus just our feelings when it comes to our money, just like with our habits, right? Just like the number on the scale, it's all just facts. I love how they gave us a first step to do a 90-day review habit. See where all your money's going, color code it so you can see big picture where all of your little spending buckets are. The raw data, that's what you need to make a plan, right? Same thing with your health. We have to know where we are, what we need, what are the facts for us as modern moms, right? We're in our early 40s. We need more protein. We need more strength training. Okay, what are the habits that are going to help support us there from there, right? It's the same thing with our budgeting. You have to look at the facts. You can't just hope for the best. You have to see where you are. Give yourself a little grace, give yourself a little hug, have some open communication with your spouse as well. I promise you, just speaking from experience, it's made my husband and I closer. He, like I mentioned in the episode, I am the spender, he is the saver, and having some more open conversations, that's really the only thing we've ever really fought about. And it's not even like fighting, it's just like, stress, tension every month when we do the budget. Having some open conversations in a system, a habit to do this every month has made us closer and kind of tore down that wall, you will, a little bit between us as well. So look at the facts, not just the feelings when it comes to budgeting. Use a 90-day review, color code it to get you started. I think that is amazing. Next, we have to think of our budgeting habits differently, just how we think about our health habits differently, right? As women, we do a lot of spending throughout the month, right? And when you are the one doing all of the spending, you're maybe paying the bills, you're doing the groceries, you're paying for all the different things for the kids, right? It's overwhelming when you go to look at your budget. So you need a system to help you have less decision fatigue. Coming together with your spouse, communicating, and separating your accounts like Shayna and Vanessa mentioned. I have personally done this since the beginning of the year, and it's been a game changer. We have one account just for our bills. Everything is on auto pay, so we don't have to go through that account and look at anything. And then our spending account is separate as well, and it makes going through our budget a lot quicker and easier. And we're actually able to save a little bit more money as well, because when that spend account is getting low, we're more intentional with what we're buying or spending throughout the month, and that we're watching our savings grow because of it as well. So giving yourself a little bit less decisions to make, separating your accounts, doing something a little simple like this was a game changer for me and made it a lot less overwhelming. That's that Atomic Habits for Women at play, and that's exactly what our girls at the Budget Besties are doing for us. And then lastly, this doesn't have to be big. Think tiny money habits. The first thing I did was separate our accounts. And we had my husband and I had a conversation. And I had to really lean into my habit identity and be like, I am a person that is respectful with my money and respectful to my husband and my family with our money, because we have big goals we have as a family and our kids. Like my son is a junior, like he's 2 years away from going to college. So that's scary in a lot of different ways as well. But just think tiny, tiny steps. Do a 90-day review, color code it, see where you are, like Shayna and Vanessa mentioned, and go listen to their show as well for even more tips and advice. And like she said, the girls said at the beginning of our episode, money is a lot more complicated now than what it was in the past. All the different subscriptions, the kids' activities, your personal expenses, everything's so much more complicated now. So take the shame out of it, take a look at the facts, remove the feelings from it, unlearn these habits maybe you were taught at a young age, and create some healthier money habits. And I promise you, you won't regret it. You won't regret it. So next step from here, if you're looking for a tiny first step, I would think about just writing down a habit identity for yourself. You are a person who budgets intentionally, doesn't feel shame, but rather takes action when it comes to your finances, and let your budgeting habits support that. Sit down for a monthly budget meeting with your spouse, or weekly, just taking a look at your accounts to see where your money's going. Those are some tiny actions you can take. But my first step for you today would be to take a look at your habit identity around budgeting, your money mindset, and what habits can help support who you want to be when it comes to budgeting. Will it be perfect every month? I can tell you from personal experience, and no. No. So we're all on our own personal journeys, and this is going to have to come with a big dose of grace for yourself. So I know you can do it. I'll make sure to link the Budget Besties, Shayna and Vanessa, in the show notes so you can go listen to their show and connect with them as well. Thank you again, ladies. I love talking to you. Thank you personally for helping me see my budgeting habits in a different light and actually making talking about money maybe a little bit fun. You guys make it fun for sure. So gang, I will see you later this week. I am cheering on for you so big. Hey girl, real quick before you go, if you are ready to take action in creating your own habit loops, then I would invite you to take the 3-day Habit Loop Bootcamp email challenge. You'll learn how to create your own cue, routine, and reward from that Atomic Habits for Women philosophy that we've shared here on the show. And it's also available audio only too, so you can take it on the go while you're mom Ubering around town. Just go to bit.ly/habitloopbootcamp. It's linked in the show notes as well to start taking action now.
And if you love the show, the biggest way you can support me and other mamas like you is to leave a quick written review so we can help more mamas stop dieting and start training for life via habit hacking. Love and appreciate you.